Hi, and welcome to the Hidden Pulse with Cissy. That's me. I want to just tell you a little bit about the Hidden Pulse. This is where we bring the stories, the insights, and voices that shape the future of dental and medical industry. The Hidden Pulse brings people together from all walks of the healthcare industry. We have guests ranging from individuals who check in patients at hospitals and in clinics to frontline individuals who are absolutely changing the industry. Our clinical teams, our doctors, our operational teams, our rev cycle leaders, our C-suite, industry partners, anybody and everybody who touches the healthcare industry, we have those individuals on this podcast. And it's so exciting to have them. It's so refreshing to hear the voices of all the different types of jobs and individuals who work in our industry, because every voice matters, helping us to better understand what really it is like to work in our industry. I'm so thrilled to have my guest Stephen on the show. He's the CEO and founder of Pathway Search, a nationally recognized healthcare recruiting and professional search firm, specializing in finding top-tier financial and RCM leaders and teams. I met Stephen through a colleague at a networking event, and we just hit it off. I love networking. If you haven't noticed, it's so much fun to get to know the people around our industry and people who just want to understand it. I have sent so many people to Stephen because he really does an amazing job at finding the right people and the right companies and pairing them together. He's such a great resource. The value of networking is when you have the ability to put two people together and someone puts Stephen and I together, and now other people are getting put together because of that network experience. He helps large Fortune 500 companies to MSOs and DSOs and everybody in between. He helps to place and find people that work as CEOs, controllers, accountants, RCM leaders, anybody in the finance world. He also does operations as well, but that is his bread and butter. In the podcast today, we're going to discuss his passion for people, why he built Pathway Search, and how he finds the right people for the right companies. He has a very unorthodox way of finding people, and he hates resumes. Can you believe that? A recruiter that hates resumes? Anyway, he talks about that too, and talks about the companies that he works with. I am your host, Cissy Mangrum, co-founder and chief revenue officer of RevTech Partners and Maximize RCM Consulting, where we operationalize your KPIs, transform your revenue cycle challenges into opportunities through technology, knowledge, education, and processes. This is the Hidden Pulse with Cissy, where every story is a pulse and every pulse is a testament to the human spirit. So let's sit back, get a cup of coffee, tea, whatever you would like, and join us for an amazing day with Stephen. Hi, and welcome to the Hidden Pulse with Cissy. I met Stephen here, and he has a really interesting last name, so I'm going to ask for forgiveness because I'm going to try to attempt to say his last name. Galanopoulos.
Nailed it.
Oh
Nailed
my
it.
God, I
Nailed
don't
it.
really think that's true, Stephen, but
Hey,
we'll just go with that. Anyway,
yeah,
I'm
that's
super excited to have him on the show because we kind of hit it off. He's an amazing recruiter and does all kinds of recruiting in different industries, and he's owned and operated his own business for a long time, and he's very well known here in Nashville. So I was like super excited to have you on my show. And not very often do I have people that live in my same town. So
there you
super
go.
happy to have you. So, Stephen, so why don't we do this? Let's get right into it. And let's just first
So,
start off with tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your company, what you do, and then we'll just start going into the interview questions that I pound all my guests with.
let's do it. So, yeah, first off, thanks for having me. I've been looking forward to this for a little while now. So glad to finally be on. But yeah, my company's Pathway Search. founded in 2020, and we focus specifically in accounting, finance, and revenue cycle recruitment all across the country. A lot of what we do is here in Nashville, but we have clients across the U.S. But yeah, the short of it is, when people ask what I do, I just say I sell people for a living. So if you need a human that does accounting and finance things, I'll find
That's
them and sell
great.
them to you.
Okay, well, first of all, he connects
Yeah.
people. Oh my god, you already
There you go. It's a conversation starter.
so yeah, so that's what he does. He sells people for a living. He's a recruiter. Oh my god, that's right. That's crazy. I got people gonna listen to this. We're already gonna be off on the chair.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a conversation
That's
starter,
great.
right?
I love it.
There you go.
Okay, so have you always lived in the Nashville area? Just curious.
I have not. No. Originally, well, I was born in Michigan. Moved to South Alabama when I was 5. So I grew up in South Alabama, about 30 minutes north of Gulf Shores. Went to the University of Alabama, and then I moved to Nashville right out of college in 2008, and I've been here ever since.
Oh yeah. Well, it is the
Yep.
Nashville is the healthcare mecca of the world, right? And it's starting to turn into the tech industry. There's a lot of tech coming
Yep.
in this area as well, which is
Yes.
pretty amazing as well. But so here you come to Nashville, 2008.
Mm.
That's in the let's say late '90s, early 2000s is when it started to kind of really boom here from a healthcare perspective. And then how did you get into recruiting?
Yeah. Well, right out of college, I am not. My background is not accounting and finance, although that's what I recruit for. I was actually a biology chemistry major. So anyhow, I was actually in healthcare right out of college. I worked in like regulatory affairs and compliance, for a healthcare company. But the short of it is, quite honest, I kind of fell into it. Um, I'd found out like I was about to have, a child, and I was like, oh my God, I've heard these things are expensive, so I should probably go make some more money. And so I just started like, looking for some other things, and I was like, I don't know, like maybe something, commission based, like where I can control whatever. Anyhow, well, I got a call from an agency and I didn't even know what recruiting agencies were or whatever, but they were like, come in for an interview, and they were actually interviewing me for, I guess, a position that they had for one of their clients or something. And during the interview, they were like, "Have you ever thought about recruiting?" And I was like, "Never. I don't even like." I'm thinking about it now, though. I guess here we are. So, at about 6 interviews later, they hired me. So that was kind of it, and I've been doing it ever
And
since.
you've been
Yeah. So
doing it ever since. Okay,
yeah.
so finance world, just in general, just
Yes.
finance world, CFO world, outside of any industry, I have to ask, is the people the same? Like, do they all have very similar mannerisms and things like that? Or do you see all different kinds of personalities running into these industry?
Oh yeah. All over the place.
Oh,
Yeah. I
really?
mean, that's one of the exciting things. Like you never, yeah, I look at resumes all day and LinkedIn and all these other things, but like getting to know people, like, their story and, so forth. Cause my interview style is a little bit different. I don't really like, I do not look at a resume when I interview people. I don't like it. Uh, I'm just trying to get to know them.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, it's all types. I think a lot of people sometimes really they think accountants and they just think like boring, tax
Serious,
accountants or
very
whatever.
serious.
Yeah, but no, I mean, no, it's fun. That's one of the things I enjoy about it. It's just getting to know, people, getting to learn about people, and on a personal level. So yeah,
So which one,
it's interesting.
just out of curiosity, which one do you like
Yeah,
to recruit more for? Is it RCM or CFOs? I mean, I don't want to put you on the hook or anything.
it's more about the company, to be honest with you. So if it's a company that's growing and it's a position where I know that this person's going to have an immediate impact, or
Yeah,
it's going to be a game changer for them, whether it's compensation or experience or something like that. I think that's really what makes a certain like search interesting
yeah.
or fun to work on, is like, am I excited to to tell people about the job, right? And they go out and recruit for it. So I guess it doesn't really matter what it is.
Oh, I was
If it's something that,
I was really hoping you would say
yeah,
you love to recruit for RCM. I mean,
yeah, RCM only. I'm lying.
I was just really hoping, and then you went and did a political answer.
No, it is true though, because I mean, at this point, I mean, I've been doing this since 2012,
Yeah,
and it's, yeah, I mean, in a position, luckily, where like, I can, you know, be somewhat selective about the types of searches that I work on and so
sure.
forth, and that's it. More than anything is, what does somebody stand to gain from, taking this type of opportunity, and like, if it's just something where, hey, we just keep turning over the position and we can't seem to keep somebody in the seat, then yeah,
Oh, that's not good.
call somebody else. I don't
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
that's
I
not
was
me.
just putting you on the spot because I just thought that would
Oh,
be
100%.
since
Yeah,
that I do
that's totally
RCM,
fine.
right? I have to stand up for my RCM peeps, right?
There you go. There you
All
go.
right. So let's just kind of get
Mhm.
into some wonderful questions that I ask a lot of the people
Yeah.
that I interview is what kind of drew you into recruiting? I mean, outside of you interviewing with those individuals,
Mhm.
you had to kind of make a decision to say, I'm going to leave this, what I was doing over here to start and
Yeah.
go into recruiting. So what attracted you into that field?
Um, I wouldn't classify myself as like an extrovert at all, but I mean, I love just connecting with people. I love talking to people, and so, and I was like, this is kind of a, I'd never been in sales before, and so I looked at it and I was like, it is I mean, a sales job, but it's like,
Mhm.
I'm selling people, like it's a product that I would be excited to learn about, and so forth. So yeah, I mean, I think just the human aspect of it was initially what drew me to it. Um,
When you,
because that way I didn't come into it like thinking of this as like a sales job
yeah, you're just like
per
this.
se.
I'm going to connect people with the right places and it's going to,
Yeah.
be an amazing fit or a growth
Right.
opportunity or anything like that. What was,
Mhm.
so, you come into something that is brand new, like,
Yeah.
can you remember what it felt like to go into an industry that's like brand
Mhm.
new to you and how you had to learn it, grow it, understand it? How long did it take you to kind of really get a grasp of, hey,
Yeah.
this is recruiting. This is how it's done.
I would say it took me a few months, to kind of really get into the swing of things. I mean, again, not knowing anything about like accounting, finance, like I'm one of the only people I know in finance and accounting and recruitment that like doesn't have a finance and accounting background. So yeah, so it was a lot of. I've told this story a lot of times, but I'll never forget my first day. Everybody was talking about, I guess there was a big project, like an accounts payable project that we were working on and so forth. And everybody was just like, AP, like we need AP people and so forth. And I didn't want to like look like an idiot. So I'll never forget. I went home that night and I Googled, what is accounts payable, And I was like, oh God, like this is not going to work out for me.
That was
But
when it
no,
started, right? Back when they had like,
yeah.
holy
Uh,
cow, that's great. And now you have ChatGPT, so you could just, look up
I don't
anything.
know.
I
I
mean,
don't use that. I will not. I can't do it.
you're not gonna
I
use
can't do it.
ChatGPT? Come
Not
on.
a fan. Not a fan. I don't get it.
Not a
I
fan?
don't get it. No.
What is it, like Meta? Is that what you wanna do? That's the new thing coming out. Meta is coming out with their
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
yeah, I saw some ads. I don't know. Why am I talking about that? I have no idea. Don't
Yeah. I don't
me.
know. I mean, I know, like, I will say this. I know a lot of firms and recruiters that like they'll use Chat GPT to like write up, blurbs about their candidate or whatever. And I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
old school. I'm like, that's lazy, right? Chat GPT doesn't know
Uh,
this human. Like, you know this human. There's nobody else that
you
could
know
write
who they
something
are
better
and
about
what they
Cissy
do.
than
Yeah.
exactly. I'm like, so okay. That just doesn't make any sense to me. I'm like, I just whatever.
Yeah.
I'm old. I'm old,
You're
old
old
school.
school. We'll
I
be
just,
okay. There's a couple of us old
yeah,
schoolers that are out here, so it's okay. It's okay. Some of us
yeah.
are gonna be really happy to hear that. Okay, so so you start into this career,
Hmm.
and obviously you loved it because you're
Yeah.
still doing it, and then you ventured out and started your own business. I mean, what made you say, "I'm gonna leave the comfort of and start something from scratch"?
I think, when I probably year two, maybe, in the job, I was like, oh, okay, I feel like this is something I'm kind of like catching on to and so forth. And, I'd say pretty early on, I think I always had the idea of like, I could maybe, do this on my own.
Yeah.
one day. So it's something that was always kind of in the back of my mind. And then, I had the opportunity to go lead a startup office
Oh,
for
wow.
a PE-backed company. And I was like, okay, well, this will be a good test to see, like,
Do I
you
have
know,
to do this?
yeah, right. Yeah. So it was actually a month before my daughter was born.
Oh,
I was like,
wow.
may not be the right time, but like,
It
it
works.
never is the right times. Yeah. So I was like, whatever, let's do it. And then, yeah. And then it just kind of got to the point where I was like, you know what? I feel like,
You'd gotten enough connections
I,
and the people.
well, yeah. And I guess the way that I like to go about like, the job, like, I don't know, like it's a very, uh our product, the product is people, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
being in an environment where it's very metric driven, where it's like you need to talk to this many people and you need to do this and it's like that's not really me. I'm like, I'm not gonna survive in that. It's like I'm gonna focus more on the quality
yeah.
and and as far as like training people and getting people on board and growing them, it's like I can't do that, out of the box,
Yeah, yeah.
training type, stuff. And I was like, all right, so yeah, it's probably, time to just do it on my own then.
Time to see if we can
Yeah.
get it and do it and have the grip for it. I
Hmm.
think it's a pretty amazing thing for people who are doing that, starting businesses, getting stuff out because it's hard. If it was easy, all of us would do it, right? So those
Yeah.
that are doing it, you've done it for years and years and years, me getting into it. It's an interesting
Hmm.
something. And it takes a lot
Yeah.
to do. It's not you kind of think
Right.
you think, here I am, I'm a recruiter, not me personally, but you, like, I can do this. This would be great. But then you go out and you're like, oh, there's a lot more to this than just doing this, right? And did you experience that too? Did you go, okay, there's a lot more I wasn't thinking about?
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. I'm I wouldn't necessarily call myself a planner, at all. So
Yeah.
I was kind of like, I'm just gonna wing it. Like, this will be all right. I'll figure it out. Whatever. And yeah, yeah. Very early on, I was like, well, the first thing I did, I was like, all right, I need an accountant because I know I'm not going to do my own accounting, and I'm not going to, So luckily, I knew a lot of accountants, so that was pretty easy. But
Hey, there, yeah, because you knew a lot from the.
yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
great.
Shout out to Tom.
Shout out to Tom. All right. Hi, Tom. How you
Yep,
doing? All
yep.
right. So what has been the funniest thing or unexpected thing to happen to you? I mean, because I know you have a couple.
Yeah. So funniest, so, this was, I guess, probably 2013, maybe, and so I don't know if anybody hears this that, was there at the time. They may remember this because it was kind of it went around the office. But yeah, it was pretty funny. So anyway, I was in this was back when, there was no remote working and so forth. And, if we had candidates, they came into
Yeah.
the office and interviewed with
Yeah.
us and sat down and so forth. And so we had these like small, little offices that we would go into. And, so I was sitting down and meeting with this, individual and, it's just she and I, and,
You're going to end up laughing. You're not going to get the story out.
yeah, so they, broke wind, if you will.
Well,
In the middle of the conversation, there was kind of a like there's
oh my
only two of us here. It's like, that I know that it was
God.
you.
With the door
No,
being,
no. So that was that was the funny thing. Legitimately, it was like it didn't even happen.
they
They were
just
just
kept on.
like, I'm like, okay,
Okay,
all
first of
right.
all, that's a pretty good talent. Like, you can't lead on.
I mean, I immediately was just like in my mind, I'm thinking, oh God, don't make that face. Don't like, oh no. But
Oh my God.
they didn't miss a beat.
I'm
And
thinking that that person probably has done that before in larger groups and blame somebody else because they can keep a spot, if they can keep
I
a straight face and keep moving in an interview with just two people, come on.
mhm. Oh yeah. Yeah. I
That's
mean,
talent right there. That's talent.
it was interesting. It was
Super.
interesting to say the least. I was like, I don't know
Oh
what to do.
my
Like,
God. Oh
I'm just gonna ask her about accounting things
my
and
gosh.
act like that didn't
Well,
happen.
things happen.
Do you have
Man,
any other, like, "I can't believe that just happened"?
oh
You
man,
got so
not
many
that.
in your head and you're just like, "I don't know.
Yeah,
Can I say this one? Can I say this one?"
yeah. There's quite a few I probably shouldn't say. Yeah, yeah. Let me come back to that.
Oh, okay.
Let me think.
Well, you've had a pretty successful career. I mean, you're doing what you love to do. You can tell just by the way you're talking about and do all this stuff. But what kind
Mhm.
of challenges did you face? I mean, have you faced
Yeah,
anything that said, I don't know if I want to continue doing this. Maybe I should do something different?
definitely. Yeah. So, I started Pathway Search in February of 2020, right? So that was right before like the whole world shut down, and
Yeah, that's a big challenge. Yeah.
yeah, and I was like, oh, that's probably gonna suck, whatever, we'll
Did you have
figure it
a
out.
baby being born during that time? Because it seemed like you kind of start things right when a child is being born.
Yeah, no, no, no. My youngest was, I guess two and a half, whenever whenever that happened. But no, yeah. So that was interesting, kind of working through all of that, like with the startup and just
Yeah.
figuring it out, and then
I
yeah, it was there were definitely some times where I was like, oh my gosh, like this is
It's like, okay,
you
what did I
know,
do? Now, how do I get out of this and get through it? You gotta love
but
business, business.
yeah,
I try to
yeah.
tell people that business is business, even though we would want it to be personal, right? Because we have so many companies that are like, when they tell you or you interview, they're like, "We're like a family," and I'm like, "Boy, I hope you're not like a family, because if you're anything like my family, there's gonna be lots of screaming going on." I was just like, I don't want that. People are they pride themselves on saying, "Oh, we're like a family. We care for each other. We do all these different things." And then when something happens, financially or whatever, and they have to make hard decisions, then it's all about the business. So it's kind I always wonder, like, from a recruiting standpoint, how do you balance that with your prospective individuals? Because, it is a business, and you're going to be joining a company and hopefully you'll be there for, 10, 20 years or whatever. But the reality is people probably move. What do they move now? Is it every
Oh
3
gosh, seems
years,
like every 2
two,
years.
2 years?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
People just move now. They're just not
for sure.
committed to staying and being somewhere for a long period of time. And that is okay. I mean, people are growing.
Right.
They're doing what they need to do. So how do you balance that business? Because, I think about it what you were just talking about, it's business. It is what it is. It's just business.
Yeah.
And how do you separate that from, okay, yeah, but these are people I worked with for 16 years or whatever.
You mean as far as like the my former company, I guess,
Or just you, or
or
you're doing helping people transition from
oh, yeah, yeah,
to
yeah.
place.
Well, I think the biggest thing is just like really digging into the intention behind like why somebody is even considering a job change. And what at the core is really driving that. Kind of to set the tone for making sure that I'm in a position to put them in the right, opportunity, and or tell them
Mhm.
like, hey,
Mhm.
look, this job is not good for you and here's why, and so forth. So I think that's the biggest thing, right? And I rarely, advise people just to, take a job because of money or, whatever. But it is
Sometimes
it is what everybody's situation is different, right? And again, just really getting down to
yeah.
like on a personal level, like, hey, what's really driving you to want to make a move? And does that actually align with the path that you want to be on, right? I mean, because I talked to a lot of people that they say, hey, I want to be, CFO one day or, whatever the case is. And it's like, okay, well, do you really understand the types of, skills and jobs and things you need to be competing for to get there? Sometimes no.
Yeah.
So, just kind of being consultative about, really understanding everybody's situation. And,
But you
I
find
think that has a lot to do with.
I think it's interesting
Yeah.
too, from an employer side. You think about, oh, this person needs to be with us for X, we want them to be here for
Mhm.
a long time. And,
Yeah.
sometimes from an employer side, you forget that people have different needs. Like some people are literally just growing. And so they need to move every 2 to 3 years just to get to the next level because they're where they are, they're not going to get to that level, right? It's kind of sad in some places where it's a large company and they have to leave that company in order to grow. And then that company calls them for a higher position. And you're just like, I didn't have to leave. I could have just stayed there.
Yeah.
But then there's that whole track of the growth, right? I need to learn more. And then
Mhm.
there's the I want to make more. So there's people that just move because, somebody's going to pay them
Yeah.
X amount of dollars more for the same job, right? And then there's the, have you ever had the people who call you and say, I just want a better work-life balance. I just want
Oh yeah.
job.
Yeah.
It pays me well, but I just need to spend more time with my family, or if I don't
Yes.
want to if I don't want to spend time with my family, I need more time at Disney. I mean, do you have
Yeah.
those clients that come in and say, this is what I'm looking for? Can you help me find a company that will help meet those needs?
Yeah. Oh yeah. A lot of times. I mean, especially for companies that are still requiring a lot of in-office time, like, yeah. I mean, I've seen, several situations where people are willing to take a lateral move or maybe even a slight, decrease in, pay just to, you know, you spend more days at home, so yeah, I mean, it's just a matter of priority, and what's important to people. But yeah, I would say more so than prior to 2020. Yeah, I mean, that's been a big driver for a lot of people is work-life balance. And
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I mean, in accounting, I mean, rarely are you going to work just 40 hours a week every week. I mean, but yeah, no, that's a huge driver, for people. And then on the flip side, I mean, for some companies that are adamant that, like, hey, we need people back in the office and so forth. Hey, there is value, obviously, in being in the office. And me personally, like, I kind of prefer in office, but you just have to understand that it's going to make it harder to compete for talent, right?
Yeah.
So just manage those
Today's
expectations a little bit.
environment, having people in an office is difficult
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
they're so used to, working home and having to do, be able to do whatever they want. The thing about working in an office that I find that, well, for me, it's a good thing, but the collaboration. I can't tell you how collaborative decreased just from what I saw.
Yeah.
One of the things I used to get a little frustrated when people don't turn on their cameras, right? And people are like, oh,
Yeah.
you don't need your camera. I mean, I'll probably have blowups of people saying, you don't have to turn your cameras on. But I say this exact thing. If they were in the office, would they show up to a meeting with something on their head? They would be there. You would see them. You
Mhm.
would see their mannerisms. There's a lot of
Yeah.
telltale signs when people are kind of fed up about something, or if they're happy about something, or and now everybody just masks themselves behind a camera and they just put the smiley picture up, and then you don't know what's happening. Like you're just like you're talking. Like I do a lot of education, like you
Mhm.
probably do, like talking that, and you don't see somebody's response. You don't see their facial response.
Right.
You don't see nothing. You have no idea if they're even listening to you. And then you start to think,
Yep.
should I even be? So when you do interviews,
Yeah.
I'm assuming that you make people get on the camera when you're doing interviews, yeah?
Well, it depends. I mean, I do a lot of, like, just, phone calls, and so forth as
Oh
well.
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, it kind of depends on, because a lot of times, I mean, people that I'm connecting with, like, they're working, right? And so it's like,
Oh yeah, yeah. They have to step
you
out of the
know,
office to talk.
yeah, so it depends, but I would say that, yeah, I'm definitely more of a camera on, uh, guy. Just, again, I guess going back to old school, I think it's a generational thing. Maybe, I don't know, but
It
yeah, I
might
mean,
be, but you know what?
for me, I'm like, look, come on, we have a meeting. Like, what else are you like? You know, if
Well,
is there a reason why you can't turn the camera on? Like,
yeah, that's the only
you
question
know,
I have is I'm going, what is
yeah,
happening that you can't turn the camera on? Well, my hair's
yeah,
a mess.
yeah. It's yeah.
Okay,
I
I
would
don't
say yeah.
care about that. That's who cares? Well, I'm in my pajamas. Well, maybe
Right.
you should have dressed at least better, but yeah, I think it's interesting. It is definitely interesting. I don't know. It's definitely harder to collaborate for sure, because you can collaborate. Now they have all this technology, right, where you can do whiteboard collaborations and people are interacting, but you still don't know if the other person is on board with what you're saying. I mean, I can
Yeah.
tell you right now, if my camera's off and I'm not on board with what you're saying, I'm literally just like doing
Yeah.
this.
Hmm.
I'm just literally with my head down if I'm describing it, because we're not even doing this on video. You know, this will be on audio. So you're like, hey, Cissy, this is on audio. You don't even have this on video. But, you have your head down, you're
Yeah.
shaking, and nobody can see it, because as long as your
Hmm.
voice stays in the same flexion. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's so interesting because you work with people all day long. You
Mhm.
get to see all these different mannerisms and everything. So when it comes to innovation, so moving on from having the camera on, when it
Yeah.
comes to innovation, what kind of innovation is happening in your world and in the recruiting world? What's making your life easier?
Well, I mean, there's definitely, there's always new tools coming out that, you know, make it easier to reach people, but, I think just figuring out like where these people are, right? I mean, like there's, I think it's demographic of individuals who are probably more active on LinkedIn than others.
Yeah.
So yeah, how do you, reach that, target audience? Again, I guess going back to being old school, I'm more of a just pick up the phone and
Just
call, type of a guy. But no, I mean, yeah, there's definitely a lot of, technology that comes out where you can, get, I tell people all the time, like it's kind of creepy how much information you can get about,
about
somebody if,
somebody. Oh yeah.
yeah, yeah. But, so it's at the end of the day, it's still a very, it requires a level of human connection to be good at this, in my opinion. And so that's also probably honestly why I am not like, I don't lean into like technology as much because it's like,
Yeah.
again, it's like, I mean, yeah, I could get Chat GPT to tell me like, to write me something about, Cissy, but it's like Chat
So
GPT is just, they're just winging it. Like, let's.
okay, I have to ask this because I know everybody's listening is going to be like, Sissy, you have a recruiter right here on your podcast. Ask them these questions. And it is,
Okay.
you hear these people on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Facebook, on
Hmm.
TikTok, and they're saying, you need to do this with your resume. You need to put these words on your resume. You need to do these, this, and this in order for the recruiter or the person to see your resume, because otherwise you're not going to get seen. Is that
Yeah.
true? Is that true for the big companies,
Well,
or is it like,
yeah, there are companies that have, I guess with their applicant tracking systems, like they do have filters that will, pick up on keywords and and things of that nature. Me personally, I don't use that. Yeah, I'm going out and finding people, right? And
yeah,
so
oh yeah. You're
I'm
not
not like
posting the
screening
ad and
inbound
saying
resumes
get
all
people to
day.
come in, yeah.
But yeah, no, there are systems that will definitely do that and will, kick out, resumes that maybe they otherwise should. But again, at the end of the day, it's a very human, job. So I'm always honestly when I hear a company, it's like, oh, we just got this new AI system for our resumes or whatever. I'm like, that's good for me, honestly, because you're going to miss people.
Yeah,
100%. You're going to miss people. And I'll be the first to say too, I tell this people all the time, I hate resume. I'm the
yeah.
worst. I don't read resume. I don't care. Like you could put whatever you want on a resume. Now, granted, yeah, it's
Put a
a,
few good things
it's
on
a
there.
vessel to get you an interview
Yep.
100%. But as far as from my position, I always say this, anytime somebody's job searching, right? And
Yep.
they're applying to jobs and so forth, right before they click submit or apply, they're thinking like, oh, I wish I could just tell them this, or I wish I could just explain this. It's like, that's my job, right? So I don't care what the resume said. You can literally put, and I have interviewed so many people that like, I'm like, oh, you have this on your resume. Tell me about like, oh, you implemented SAP? And it's like, oh no, the company implemented SAP while I was an employee there. I didn't do it.
Oh,
It's like,
wow,
okay,
yeah,
well, you
yeah.
can't say that, right?
Yep.
So yeah, so I don't like, I don't know. I'm just not a resume guy. Like
Like that.
when I'm working with a client and I'm, presenting, candidates, like let's get on a phone call,
Mhm.
for a couple of reasons. Number one, because I can better communicate to you like why they would or would not be a good fit for the role, and so forth. And number two, if I just send over the resume to you, so you're, hiring, I don't really give you any context except maybe like a little blurb that I put in the email that you may or may not read. I don't know. Am I really giving that candidate the the best opportunity for the
Yeah.
job?
I've
No.
worked with some recruiters that they have just sent me resumes, and I'm like going, I could have just done that myself.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah. That's
holy
like, well,
cow,
yeah,
I'm looking for
exactly.
somebody to weed out and give me the top candidates to say, okay, all of these people know
Right.
RCM. All of them have been operators, Like one of my
Hmm.
things, and I work with when I recruit people to work on my team, it's like you have to have been an operator. Like you have to have worked in a clinic, either running a clinic or worked in a clinic and gotten understanding of how that office works. Because when you come to rev cycle, you need to understand where the root causes are, right? So
Hmm.
uh and it's so funny because sometimes I'll get some amazing people that all they have done is back end office or business office. And if I'm looking for somebody to just do business office, yes, okay, I might consider that. But I also go, do you have any practice experience? Because there
Hmm.
is something about that. There's just something about understanding that skill set, right? And I think sometimes that gets weeded out with
Hmm.
if you're doing
Yeah.
the technology because they don't, they're only looking for certain things,
Yeah.
right?
Keywords and, so, and a lot of time, and I just assume that like most people are not good at writing resumes. I mean,
But they do it what,
you
like
know,
once every 2 years, once every 4 years.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's not like
Yeah. I mean, I would
they do it
say,
all
yeah,
day.
the majority of the time that I'm like, meeting with folks, like I'll go back and look at the resume after the fact, and I'm like, there's a lot of things here that should be on the resume that we talked about that is not
All
on the
the
resume. And
strengths that
again,
they have and all the
yeah,
things that they had, they didn't even put it on
right,
the resume because all they think
yeah,
they have to do is say, "I did this," and that's it.
yeah,
It's crazy.
yeah, yeah. You have to know, yeah, you have to know your product, and it's like, yeah, our product is people. I get that, but like, you have to know them.
Yeah,
They can't just be a resume that you're seeing, because then you're just like, and I think that's kind of where, recruiters sometimes get a bad rap, because it's like, oh, I need a, senior accountant, or, whatever. And it's like, cool, here, I can get you 10 resumes within 24 hours. Isn't that impressive? It's actually not.
yeah, because you didn't have
It's
enough
actually not
time to
impressive at
interview
all.
them
I'd rather
all.
you get me 2 resumes and be able to get on a phone call with me and tell me exactly why they're a good fit for this job than send me 10 resumes that the client
And
has to
I
sit
now
there and
have to see
read
if
and,
they're a good fit through it.
whatever. It's like, yeah, what are you paying for? Like, this is a service. Like, I'm providing a service. That's what it should be. I'm not a resume shop. And like, if you
Yeah,
like reviewing a ton of resumes, don't call me. That's not what I
there's
do.
there's a
I don't
lot
have
of
time.
people. Hey, there's a lot of AI tools that'll do that for you.
Go get one. I mean, yeah, I guess. I
Um,
don't know.
what has been the most rewarding thing about your job? What was the most
Hmm.
rewarding placement that you did?
Most rewarding.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I definitely know this one. I definitely cannot say any
Sure, no names, no nothing, just the situation.
names or anything like this. I won't even tell you when. So there was, an individual who, I mean, stellar background, went to an amazing school, started out in desirable, organization and so forth. Just, I mean, fantastic,
Yeah,
background, but, at a certain point, just had some life, things that, happened and kind of took a hiatus for, a little while. And, when I connected with this, individual, it was just like, man, I'm having a real hard time, like this gap in the resume and here and here. And, and of course I'm not. I was like, "Oh, the gap in the resume." I did, look at it, because
like,
I don't.
"Oh,
But
okay."
anyway, yeah, resume, what? But no. So, I really like got to know him and like the situation, and so forth. And and again, kind of going back to like, my job is to tell your story.
Yeah,
you know, that's, what happened, right? And so I had a client who, called me and he was like, "Hey, I'm looking for, XYZ." And I was like, this would be perfect. And I knew the client, right? So from a personality perspective, I was like, I
they're
know
gonna click.
they're gonna hit it off. I know this individual can do the job. whatever. So I told him right then and there on the phone call, I said, look, I have your guy. Here's the deal. If I just send you the resume, you're going to say, what? No, they have, whatever. I was like, seriously,
Don't
you
look
got to
at the
trust me on
resume,
this.
just talk to
Yes.
that
Yep.
person.
Yep. I said, so let's go ahead and set the interview up. I'm going to send you the resume in the calendar invite for the interview, but that's it. And I kind of walked in, obviously I didn't disclose
Yeah, yeah.
it. But yeah. And I was like, you just have to trust me. You just get on the phone. I said, because if we don't do it this way, you're going to tell me, oh, wait, there's got to be better candidates. And I'm telling you, there's not better candidates. This is your guy. And here's why. Sure enough,
They clicked and it
one
was,
interview, he called me right after the interview and he was like, done.
yeah,
That is done. We're done. Like, I don't need
that's
to interview anybody
awesome.
else, So yeah, that one
That one stuck.
for
That was
me.
the one that was the most rewarding. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I do think people get caught into that, if they're changing industries, they don't want to
Hmm.
be in this and they want to go in here. They get stuck by trying to get in, or if they've taken time off for whatever reason, they get stuck in this, like, why? It's like, it's their talent
Yeah.
they're hiring for. It's not how long they were out of work or how long they took a
Mhm.
hiatus or whatever, There was a
Yeah.
company that I really respect that I uh, seriously tried to get on board with that company for years, tried to get on board. And for whatever reason, it just wasn't meant to be. But one of the things that they did is after being there for 10 years, you got to have what they call a sabbatical. And so you could take 6 weeks off. And the whole thing was for that person to get paid the entire time, but was for that person to experience, like the world and go and do something and take time off and regenerate, get new ideas and do all these different things. And I always thought how cool it would be to work for a company like that. But then they're very selective on the people that they hire and
Hmm.
how many people that stick and stay. And I knew for me that I was a constant grower. I don't like to be places for really long periods of time. I mean, I think the longest place I was with is like 5 years. And I think that's one of the reasons why I'm do what I do so well, because I wanted to learn, right?
Hmm.
But they were like, nope, we want people that are going to stick. So I was like, oh, I kind of understand what, they're like, oh, Cissy, great,
Yeah.
but may not stay the entire time to get to the 10 years, to get to the sabbatical,
Yeah.
right? So,
Huh?
but you never know.
Yeah.
We never know with organizations. You never know if that person
Oh,
finally finds the fit that they want and is like, okay,
right.
that's it. That's where I want to go. All right.
Yeah.
So I can't believe it, but I say this on every podcast. It's already been 45, almost 50 minutes. Can you believe that?
Really?
Yeah, it's fast. I
We
always
just
say
got
it.
started.
It's going to be my thing now. People are going to be like, she always says at the end of the time. So it's time for the rapid fire questions.
Oh
And
God.
so I'm going to change this up a little bit because this one's geared around, some healthcare stuff. So I'm going to talk about it gearing around your industry. Okay.
Okay.
So if you weren't in recruiting, what would you be doing?
Landscaping. Easy question.
Okay. Now that is on the other side. That's awesome.
Yep. Yeah. For
Easy. I
sure.
like the outside landscaping. Okay.
Hands down. I would buy a bunch of mowers and equipment and I would be doing landscaping.
That sounds like a
Like,
retirement. Sounds like that might
yep.
be retirement.
That will happen at some point. Yes.
What's a weird or unexpected skill that you have picked up?
Well, that I've picked up. Gosh. Job related.
Just doing your
I would say like, multitasking for sure. Like, typing while I'm talking and I'm sending an email and I'm texting and I'm writing notes and I'm,
holy cow.
yeah, pretty
That is a
prepared. I got a lot
definite
of
skill.
monitors going on here, but yeah. Either the gym, or if you can see back here, I'm playing
That's
the drums.
awesome.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So I have some special drum heads on there that are muted, so it's not
Oh, how cool is that? Where you just hear the
yeah,
clapping.
yep,
That's funny.
yeah. Well, single dad, so I
Yeah.
don't have to worry too much about.
Who wouldn't
Yeah.
be?
Oh my gosh, man. Like I could pick anybody.
Bye.
Honestly, I'd probably just take my girls on a date. I don't know. That's
Just
yeah. I
go
don't. Nobody
with
really comes to mind. Like if I had a choice, if it was like you can go to dinner with anybody, I'd be like, I'll take my girls.
Go.
Like,
That
yeah,
one.
yeah,
That's
that'd be, yeah, we did it. We
months
did.
in the
I
made it.
know,
I
love it.
appreciate you know,
Yeah,
of
yes,
course,
thank you.
always a good
Appreciate it.
connection. So.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a blast. All right, bye.
Well, that's a wrap for this episode of The Hidden Pulse with Cissy and my guest, Stephen. What a great experience to speak with another individual who deeply cares about the healthcare industry, the people who drive it, the patient experience, and the practice experience. I hope today's conversation left you feeling inspired, relaxed, and ready to take on new challenges with a touch of laughter. If you enjoyed the show, please don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, share it with your network. We are growing, and with your help, we will grow across the industry. If you would like to be on the Hidden Pulse, feel free to reach out to me. I would love to have you on the podcast. Every story is a connection that matters in our industry. I'm Cissy Mangrum. Until next time, keep pushing forward, take those amazing opportunities, stay curious, and never lose sight of your hidden pulse.